Hey everybody, Kalani here, and I'm just going to clear up a little bit of confusion that exists around some of the terminology that I hear being used or that I see on websites, and that is in regard to naming flutes and talking about keys and talking about music and which flutes go with certain keys or how flutes are named. The term key is really referring to a scale or a certain configuration of notes within a scale and based on a certain home note. Instruments don't really come in keys. Instruments can play in certain keys. But what I see sometimes, and I think this causes some confusion, is people will say, well, this is a A minor flute, right? Now, that technically is not really correct. It's not the best way to play it, to say it, because instruments don't really come in keys. Like, here's an ukulele. This is not a C major ukulele. You don't have an A major or an A minor piano at home. You don't have a E major guitar, all right? So instruments themselves can play in different keys, but they are not made in a key, if that makes sense. Instruments just play certain series of notes. They're in a certain range, and when we say this is an A flute, all we're talking about is that the bottom note is an A. That's all we know. When we say mid-tone or mid-range flute, we're really identifying a pitch range, and that's the only information that you're really getting when somebody says, "Oh, that's an A flute," or it's a bass A. You know, all you're talking about is a range of notes. What you play on that flute determines the key that you might be in. So that's really the musician's choice is the key, because this flute can play in a minor sounding key. It can also play in a major sounding key. So the flute itself is not in a major or minor key. So you can say it's an A flute, meaning the low note is an A. And different instruments have certain scales and certain keys that are easy to play on them. And that's, I think, why people have started calling the flute like an A minor flute, because it's easy to play in A minor on an A flute. It's also easy to play in C major on an ukulele. But we don't call it a C major ukulele. It's just an ukulele. It happens to be easy to play in the key of C. Like if you're a guitar players love to play in the key of G, A, D, E. Those are the easy keys. But there's no such thing as an E guitar or an A major guitar. I hope that all makes sense. So now you know that a flute is describing, the name is describing the range of the flute. Specifically, the low note is the name of the flute. And if it's a mid-tone or a bass or a contrabass, that's describing a range. And there are certain keys that are easiest to play or easier to play on certain flutes. But we don't want to name the flute after the key, just like we don't name other instruments after a key. Same kind of thing. I hope that all makes sense. And thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and thanks for playing your flute and making music with your friends.